And then I got a job at the state capitol, starting in the mailroom, and then my next job was working in the research staff. And so I helped with the research for the legislators to understand the good points and bad points of bills. And hopefully the legislators will listen to both sides and make an educated decision on what's best. But that's not often the case.
No. In Oklahoma, Drew, and you grew up in Kansas City.
Right, in Missouri.
So you may not know this, that in Oklahoma we do have term limits.
12 years.
And that is for our representatives and senators?
That's correct. 12 total years in the legislative branch.
Okay. So that means that if someone's elected, and they're re-elected every time, they could stay for 12 years. Okay, well, those of us that are lobby and are involved in mental health or any kind of industry, by the time we get you guys trained, you go off.
That's right.
You know? And so sometimes people they're not elected again. They decide they're not going to run, or somebody beats them. So then we got some new people coming in that are in the legislative branch that don't know what we're talking about. And so we have to go educate, and we have to keep doing that. And luckily, you know, you have grown up in it basically, so you were easy to educate, Joe.
I was a student of it. I majored in political science at OSU. I was on a full ride scholarship. The Larison family did a President's Distinguished Scholarship, which I won. And then I was very active in the Oklahoma Intercollegiate Legislature. So I knew legislative politics and studying the legislative process. That's exactly what I wanted to do in life. So I studied for it. But I was certainly one of the rarities, understanding the process before I got to the Capitol. I know a former Speaker of the House, the first time he set foot in the Capitol was when he filed for his first election.
Yeah.
So you see that more times than not.
So sometimes, let's kind of divide our discussion up today into state and federal.
Okay.
And let's talk about state. We have, you know, we just had an election in Oklahoma, a special election. If someone dies or resigns or gets brought up on charges and resigns, which happens a lot, then we have a special election. And in Oklahoma, in the last couple of weeks, we had one down in Oklahoma City area.
That's correct.
And someone from a different party won that race. That was unexpected.
A wonderful young lady won that seat. The seat that was held by David Dank, that originally was held by Mary Fallon when she was a state representative, that seat from the very beginning of the districts based on population, that seat has always been held by a Republican. And this is the first time a Democrat has won that seat. A wonderful young lady, part Asian, so the first Asian elected to the House of Representatives.
Oh.
She is a former employee of the Girl Scouts. I've known her since she was in high school because she actually grew up in my home area. She is going to do a fantastic job. She is compassionate. She cares about the people.
And her name is?
Cindy Munson. And she is going to do wonderful things down there, and she truly cares about the best interests of people. Not saying her opponent didn't, because I knew him as well. There were good choices there, but I was just so proud to see her do well.
Yeah, that's great. Because the other thing is we need more women in office. Women don't typically, I don't know what the percentage is of men and women. Do you know in Oklahoma what that is?
We were third worst in the United States as far as female representation in the legislative branch.
We love to be third worst in the United States in several things.
And I think we actually, we went to fourth worst with Cindy elected, so we moved up one notch.
There you go.
In fact, there was a women's legislative forum that happened in Oklahoma City, and she got to be present after she won her election before she was sworn in. So it was good to see female legislators, both parties, different backgrounds, all come to Oklahoma City for this conference. And I think we're going to see some great things. And, of course, we've got a special election coming up in the Owasso-Sperry area that will happen. The primary is early November, and the general election will be early January. So we're hoping we'll see someone get elected from that area to come to the Capitol.
What kind of things can we expect in the state of Oklahoma this legislative session? Because education has been one of the main thrusts so far, but it seems like we keep having tax cuts, and then there's the Medicaid money issue, and so where do you see us as what do you see the main thrust being this year?
2016 is going to be a critical year. It's going to be a very important year for people to pay attention. We're starting off the legislative session the first Monday in February. I will not be there since I termed out,
Right.
but I will be active and around making sure that my voice is heard, just like other people should also do the same. The budget cuts that we're hearing are going to come out of the Capitol this year are frightening. Oklahoma functions with about a $6.5 to $7 billion state budget each year, and that's a lot of money, but that's also lower than most of the other states surrounding.
There's a lot of things that have to come out of that money, too.
Absolutely. 53% of the state budget goes to education, K through 12, career tech, and higher ed. You see a high percentage, the fastest growing portion of the budget's corrections. Transportation, repairing roads and bridges is another major area. Healthcare costs are one of the top areas right behind education. So critical needs have to be addressed with this budget. Oklahoma has a balanced budget, so we cannot run into the deficit. So the legislators must find a way to balance that budget.
And I didn't hear any public safety. You mentioned public safety.
I mentioned corrections, but
roads,
public safety is very important.
Our, you know, roads, bridges, things that we have that are so, some of them in such bad shape.
And both parties agree that those needs must be addressed, but the different parties have different ways to get there.